And one. Welcome to another capital gains tax solutions podcast where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. A proven tax deferral strategy such as the deferred sales trust is an amazing way for you to create and preserve more wealth. Exit highly appreciated assets, defer millions of dollars of capital gains tax, escape feeling trapped by that 1031 exchange. Again, so you can create and preserve what your clients, friends, and family do the same. We're also streaming on expert CRE secrets, where we bring on some of the best commercial real estate or investment real estate experts to talk about all things creating and preserving more wealth in real estate. Hey, I'm excited about our next guest because each episode we are joined by some of the best real estate, financial, and business minds in the world. And this guest is not going to disappoint. In fact, he's out of the great state of Tennessee. He's in the Nashville area. He is a writer, an entrepreneur, a podcaster, and he's the founder of Full Control Publishing. From garage startups to companies investing millions of dollars to developing communities around the country, he has created successful initiatives that are changing the faces of communities, both big and small. He also launched his podcast, Superhero by Design, in which he interviews real-life superheroes from all over the world. He can either be found outside engaging in some sort of mental and physical adventure or on his laptop in random coffee shops throughout Nashville, Tennessee, figuring out ways to improve himself and other people's lives. Welcome to the show with me, Matthew Ace Hagerty. Matthew, Mr. Ace, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing, sir?
Better than I deserve. As you know, someone in Nashville, Tennessee says that a lot, and maybe you do, maybe you don't. That's another story for another topic. But for getting to know you for the first time, would you give us about your story and your current focus?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. My real estate journey started about a decade ago. I was in California, like I know you're from as well. And, I was working the W-2 and randomly a buddy came up to me. He was a realtor, or still is a realtor. And he was like, hey, do you want to flip this house with me? And I kind of looked at him funny. I was like, flip a house? I was in construction. I'm a structural engineer by trade, but I had no clue what he was talking about other than watching Chip and Joanne Gaines on Fixer Upper on HGTV. That's the extent of my flipping knowledge back then. But, I took a leap of faith. I had a very good W-2 at the time. And so just used some extra income. We went in on the deal. We flipped the house. It was a short sale back then. And we flipped it in 90 days. And we walked away splitting $90K net. And it was a home run deal. It was an easy flip, even for being my first flip. And that kind of got the bug in me to start jumping into real estate. Now, being a structural engineer, I'm a little more conservative. I'm a little more slow to jump into things at times. And I've gradually increased the business. I now work in real estate full time. And I like to tell people that I'm the guy in real estate that you can learn from, the guy who has made pretty much every mistake, and all the great advice that people in this space give us. I take about half of it and then I say, well, smart, I'm an engineer. I can do this myself. To take almost a decade for me to become financially free when, there's some people that can do it within a year and a half, something like that. And so I like to tell people, I am great to talk to you if you need to know what not to do in real estate, because I've pretty much made every mistake.
Fantastic, Matt and Ace. Thank you so much for that brief introduction. And I love that you're paying it back to help others as well, which leads into the first question before we dive into real estate by design, which is this. I believe you've all been given certain gifts. Some people call them superhero powers. I'm curious if you go back to your 20-year-old self or even younger, what would you say is that one or two gifts that you believe you were given, and how does that help how you help and bless people today?
Yeah, I would say one of the gifts that I was given is, I would say this is a legacy that I took from my mother. She passed away about 12 years ago, and just loved people. She always would go out of her way to help other people, and I've kind of carried along with me in my relationships, whether it's in my business or the professional realm or even in my personal life. I make it a point to give first. And I am sure that I am so that I can do this full time. Trust me, I love real estate. I still invest pretty heavily, but at the same give to other people and help other people along the journey that I've been on so that they could reach financial freedom. They can take full control of their lives and really do the things that they were born to do.
Amazing. Absolutely love that. Give first of people, and from mom who was an amazing mom. So let's dive right into the topic at hand, real estate by design. And by the way, if you want to learn more about Ace Hagerty, you can go to superherobydesign.com. That's superherobydesign.com. So Ace, what is the number one secret to building real estate or having real estate by design?
Well, I would say one of the biggest mistakes that I had made in my career, and I look back and, I get asked the question a lot, what's the one thing you would tell your younger self? And honestly, it's not sexy, but it's focus. It's really staying focused on what kind of real estate you're interested in. I was one of those investors. I think a lot of people talk about the shiny object syndrome that we have as investors have. And that was mine. I started off flipping. Then I did long-term holds. Then I did short-term holds. Then I did wholesaling. Then I did turnkeys out of state. I did development. So I've jumped around. I haven't touched every niche, but I would get excited and then do something, and then get excited and do something. I heard a metaphor recently about building a bridge to your financial freedom island, or your the island essentially that gets you to work in the business that you love. And so the metaphor went essentially like this. I was building a bridge. Let's start with flips. I was building a flip bridge to get to that island of freedom. And then I start looking over to my left and right, and I see long-term hold. Bigger Pockets was a great place to get a lot of information, but then I got the bug for, $100. Well, back then Brandon Turner was talking about $100 a door net. Now I think he says $200 a door or something like that. So I started looking at that bridge. So then I walked back to the island I was first on and started building this next bridge. And then I saw turnkey rentals. And then I stopped building the long-term rental bridge and started going down this bridge, short-term development, all of that. And so that's a long-winded way of saying that if you really want to achieve something like financial freedom or whatever your goals are, you're going to get there so much faster and efficiently if you pick one thing, get really good at it, and just rinse and repeat. And once you built that business and built it properly, then you can start fidgeting around with other things and leveling up or doing some other type of real estate. But at least you have something set, a good foundation. And, being a structural guy, you think I would have had that foundation set up properly. But man, you go to these real estate conferences or your local RIA, man, all these things sound so sexy when you hear them, and you're just like, man, I want to jump on that. I want to do that. So I would say just focus.
Excellent. So real estate by design, secret number one is to focus like a laser. Don't build multiple bridges to multiple niches simultaneously. Get that one bridge fully built to that island. I love the way you put it, financial freedom island, right?
Correct.
And maybe it's even entrepreneurial freedom island. Maybe it's even things that you love to do island, right? Trying obviously to pick that bridge that you're building towards. I think sometimes that helps us to clarify what we really want by having that vision and that clarity of what that island's going to look like beyond just financial peace or by not just financial freedom. It's whatever you really love to do. So Ace, what's the number one secret to figuring out what you want that island to be beyond just the financial freedom?
Yeah. Well, I would love to say that I created this, but there's a lot of really good people in this space. And I remember when I first went to my first Tony Robbins event, he asked the question, what do you want? And then so you start writing down, okay, this is what I want. And he's like, what do you really want? And there's another great metaphor of like peeling back the layers of an onion. So you ask yourself that same question, what do I want? Write down a couple responses, peel it another layer back. Well, what do I want? And honestly, what most people want, besides security, the need for certainty, all of those things, people really just want to be loved. They want to be able to really live a life of purpose where they can continue to grow and they can continue to give. And so whatever that looks like, usually it's not money. Money isn't going to buy anything that internally makes you live a satisfied, purposeful life. So really, it's just asking that question, what do I want? What do I want? Yes, finances are important, because the great thing about being financially independent is that frees up your time. And now you have time to focus on whatever else it is you want to focus on. So really just asking yourself, what do I want? What do I really want? And just kind of just getting down to the core of what that really is.
Excellent. Okay, so secret number 2, it sounds like, to definitely clarify what you really want and peeling that back. And then I guess and then also you want to design that island to be able to be that for you, right? For wherever
Correct.
you're that bridge towards. So I guess let's keep going on the real estate by design secrets here. So what would you say the next secret to real estate by design, Ace?
Well, I'd say it's not going to be an easy path. We can make things very simple, and simplicity is great in that if you know what you want and you can really simplify it, then you can start taking massive action towards it. It's not going to be easy though. And so it's those hard times. Like, interest rates got essentially jacked up overnight, it feels like. There's tons of turmoil in the economy right now, specifically where we are at. And there's always going to be issues, always going to be issues. So it's really keeping that focus and keeping that fire inside that drive. And that's why you're doing it. So the first question you ask is what you want. And the second question is, why do you want it? Because once you have that why, so to speak, that's going to keep you going day in and day out. Like, there's going to be some days that are great. There's going to be some days that are not as great. And you're going to get bumps, bruises, cuts. You're going to see it all if you're in this business. And so really understanding why the heck you're doing all this. Who are you doing this for? Is it for your family, your children, your legacy? Is it for yourself? Is it prove to yourself that you can do this? And once you find out that why, that's what's going to keep you getting up early in the morning, working late at night, and really pushing and keeping this thing going, because it is not going to be a smooth ride. That's for darn sure.
Okay, so first having a mindset that it's not going to be an easy path, right? There's going to be challenges, there's going to be issues, but then clarifying the why behind what you want, it helps you to keep that fire flame or moving forward, or sustaining what you have maybe for the vision of what you want. It helps to keep the sustainability of moving forward. What's the best habit or practice that you do to keep things front of mind?
Well, I wrote about it in my book, Superhero by Design. And if anybody goes to the website, superherobydesign.com, there's a free copy of the ebook. You just sign up on the front page. I think you just give your name and email address and you'll get a free copy of the ebook. Now, I talk about superpowers in that book because at that time in my life, I really was struggling in so many different facets of my life. And I needed to really change something. And what I found out is that our nervous system is probably the best superpower that we can utilize, that we all have. People just don't know how to tap into it. So there's a whole bunch of things that I had done, and I mentioned in that book, everything from Wim Hof breathing to cold water immersion, like cold showers, things like that, meditation, prayer. There's so many different things that you can do on a daily basis to essentially keep you motivated, keep you hungry, keep you wanting more. Like when I hop into a cold shower, oh my goodness, there's so much dopamine and adrenaline that runs through my body that even 15 to 30 seconds of being in a cold shower gets me energized and focused and motivated to hit the ground running for the next 4 to 6 hours of my day. And if you're living a life where you're very disciplined about your routine, your morning rituals, your evening rituals specifically, and whatever you might be doing during the day, once you have that structure, that's going to allow the motivation, the energy, and the freedom to really optimize every single day.
Amazing. So nervous system, I love that, right? So breathing techniques, cold showers. I like the cold plunge, right?
Oh
Um,
yeah.
we haven't bought the plunge yet. And by the way, one of our strategic alliances are the creators of the plunge. It's called the cold plunge, and they're the ones that are on Shark Tank and stuff. What's really cool, I toured their the facilities in California, Roseville, Rockland, Lincoln, California, and we talked about all of these things and the ability to tap into the nervous system and use what we've been given with just I guess now modern understanding of these things, right? When I hurt my knee in basketball, I had an ACL surgery. I took a whole year off. My nervous system and my body was so I guess actually, if you will, from going from intense workouts for so many years to really just basically stopping and not doing it, that when I came back to the high intensity, everything inside was just inflamed. And so I would sit and at that point at William Jessup University, we didn't have like maybe a proper training room. I grabbed like this big garbage can and I would simply just put a bunch of ice into it, half ice, half water. And I would just sit in this thing for about 20 minutes or so, 15, 20 minutes, as long as I could go. But I felt my entire body, obviously relax, and it enabled me to get back and recover by the next day, to be able to practice again. I did that for probably a good month from the time that I came back, maybe a month and a half. And just that alone, understanding that concept changes, the nervous system. So I love that you share that it's the health and the physical and the mental that moves into designing your finance freedom. Anything else you want to add to that, Ace?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. There's so many different things out there, and there's so many great people. Like I had the privilege of learning under Dr. Andrew Huberman. He's huge right now in the podcast space, and he just offers so much good information. And I kind of shy away from, a lot of people call it like a life hack or biohack or something like that. Honestly, it's no hack. Like we were designed this way. God designed us to have these nervous systems. We're just relearning how to use them. How do you think people survived thousands of years ago with hardly any food, clothing, or shelter in the craziest parts of the world? It's because we're so out of tune with our bodies. And once we become more in tune with our bodies, and it's not even just our physical bodies, but our emotions and everything that psychologically that we experience throughout our days, the more we spend time with ourselves. And that's why I talk so much about prayer and meditation as well. Having a spiritual walk is such a key component as well, because it gives you the opportunity to look inward. And everything in life, everything external of us, it doesn't change until we change ourselves internally. So having a morning routine, an evening routine is non-negotiable if you want to have a fulfilling life. I don't care if you get up at 4:30 in the morning, 5:30, 7:30, 9:30, doesn't matter. But you need to carve out that time. Yes, management is huge too, or really just spending that time with yourself, working on yourself, because once you do that, everything external of you is going to change.
Amazing. We're speaking with Matthew Ace Hagerty. Go to superherobydesign.com, superherobydesign.com. Okay, great, Matt. So let's just keep going here. What would you say the next secret is to building some wealth or building happiness and well-being with real estate by design?
Yeah, I would say honestly, if you want to build something that's worth anything, you got to bring other people along for the ride. This isn't a one-man show or a one-woman show. Like there's a lot of people that have the image of like the American rugged individualist, that I've built everything on my own back, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. Yeah, if you want to be lonely, you want it to take forever, and you want to kind of do it miserably and struggle the whole time, by all means, do it yourself. There have been people that have done it that way. But if you want to build anything that's worth anything, you're going to have relationships with people, and relationship management or your network. A ton of people say it a ton of different ways. Your net worth is your network. You are the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with, all of that Jim Rohn thing. It's so true. Why do these successful people talk about this? There's a misnomer. Oh, it's lonely at the top. Well, not if you're building anything with anybody. And, life is a lot more fun going with people, having people to share this with. And so I would highly recommend everybody listening to this, if you don't go to your local RIA, join a mastermind. If you don't join a mastermind, start reaching out on Facebook or anything, any kind of social media, and really start building those relationships. Because one, it's going to completely excel your growth within this business, both personally and professionally. But it's a whole hell of a lot more fun to do this with other people. And so, I never fully understood this until I started my own podcast, and then getting to meet people like you, people that call in, people that message me because of it. And not only can I pour into more people, but forming those relationships, I'll realize it's a game that we're in together, right? Like, that is it Rosa that does the famous line, the man in the arena. And hey, if we're in the arena, we're not in the stands, we want to help each other out because we're all playing the same game. And people in the arena want to help other people in the arena. And it goes back to give first, give, and form those relationships, because everything in your life is going to change once you start doing that.
Amazing. We're speaking Matthew Ace Hagerty, superherobyline.com. So talking about building a team, right? You bring other people along with you. And as you're right, I agree with you. It can be lonely, take forever, and it can be a struggle. And it's just not as fun if you're not doing it with others in community, arm in arm, pushing forward, doing something that's going to make an impact, make a difference that's beyond just the external, which is money, which is important because you can make a difference with giving, but it's about changing lives and making a difference with people. So, wow, Matt, we've covered a lot in a short period of time. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Oh my goodness, I thought this whole thing has been a lightning round, but yeah, no, I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, know what you know now. If you could go back to your 25-year-old self, what is the one golden nugget make sure to tell yourself to do?
Well, I had mentioned doing the focus, the niche, or staying focused on one part of real estate. But I would also say too, just focusing more on the inside, changing limiting beliefs. And that's really easy said, hard to do, especially if you're starting out. But doing the things like the morning rituals, if I was doing that when I first started and I was consistent about it, because I was doing it, the morning miracle, Hal Elrod, I love that guy. That's when I first really started jumping into this. But if I was more consistent, the compound effect, Darren Hardy, like that is a perfect example of what daily discipline, just 2 millimeters, as Tony Robbins would say, 2 millimeters a day, atomic habits, whatever. There's so many people that talk about this, but being consistent about your routine day in and day out, that's what I would have changed.
I absolutely love it. I want to add the Slight Edge to that book right
Oh,
there.
nice. Yeah.
So good. And in fact, I need to read it again. You're encouraging me to read it again. And absolutely, Hal Elrod, if you haven't read The Miracle Morning, please read The Miracle Morning. It's amazing. It'll do miracles in your life if you practice them. The difference between wisdom and foolishness, right? The fool and the wise person know the same information. They've been taught by this and other amazing educational opportunities, but the wise person puts into practice what the fool just either thinks about and rehearses and take action. So take action on everything you're hearing today. I hope you're getting the inspiration from both Ace and I, and you're taking the action, you're getting in the arena. Ace, next question. What are you most curious about?
Oh my goodness. Curious. That's a great question. I've never been asked that before. I'm always curious what the next step is going to be. For anybody that follows me or knows anything about me, I'm kind of at a crossroad in my life, both personally and professionally. Just got divorced about 6 months ago. I just turned 40. I want to start a family. So that's a whole personal journey for me. Professionally, I finished a whole bunch of developments, and now I'm continuing to push heavy in the short-term rental space and the midterm rental space. So really just there's a lot of exciting things coming up, but I'm always just curious what's going to be happening. And I feel like the last 10 years have just prepared me for this next chapter, this next era, because like you said, the wise person versus the fool. Like I played the fool for a very long time because I could spout so many different books. I can spout so much information, but it wasn't until a year and a half ago that I fully started to do everything I knew I needed to do every day. And so this time, the difference at the crossroad I'm in, I know what I want. I know why I want it. I'm surrounding myself with the right people, joining the right masterminds, the right groups, getting extra coaching. I've always had coaching for the last 10 years, but I'm starting to hire new coaches, surrounding myself with new people. So everything we just talked about in this episode, I'm implementing in my life. And I'm very curious to see how the results are going to differ in the next 10 years.
It's exciting when you're taking the action, you're getting the momentum, and you're setting a clear vision, and you're surrounding yourself with the right people, how it just starts to pull you in that direction, right? All those things, and the excitement and the momentum starts to build. And I heard a quote by a leader recently, Craig Rochelle. He talked about a strategy, a few other things, resources, and all the things don't add up to the sum total of momentum. In other words, momentum is the one thing that you want to make sure you're on the right side on. This momentum is building and moving and moving. And if you can get on the right side of momentum, things start to really move. And so, I'm not doing justice by that quote. I got to look that up better now, but I'm practicing it, right? I'm practicing it. Excellent. Second to last question, Ace. What's the number one leadership quote or theme that you strive to live by?
Ooh, I'm a huge John Maxwell fan, and now being here in Tennessee, he's just down there in Georgia. So he's actually probably in between you and me. John Maxwell said this quote that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. And he said, "There's no such thing as business ethics. There's just ethics." And when I first heard that, it made common sense to me. I was like, well, yeah, it doesn't matter if it's business or not. There's just ethics. But as you go through this business, not everybody lives by that. There's people, unfortunately, that focus on certain things, external things, money, success, what have you, how they're perceived, all of that. But once you understand that this game, it doesn't matter what the game is, it's who you are, how you're presenting yourself. Like I tell a lot of people, like, it's important to listen to what someone has to say, but when someone's talking to me, I'm not looking into their eyes, I'm looking at their feet. And is what they're saying aligning with what they're doing, how they're moving, how they're presenting themselves? And so from an early age in my entrepreneurial journey, I was taught that quote from an old mentor of mine. John Maxwell said it, no such thing as business ethics. There's just ethics. And that's how I hold myself accountable. Every business decision I make, every partnership I make, every subcontractor I work with, everybody from my personal assistant to my lawyers to everybody. Am I treating everybody in an ethical way? Because at the end of the day, it's just going to be me and my maker. And if I can go to him as the best version of myself, then whatever happens beyond this life, because, hey, death and taxes, we're all going to pay taxes, as you know, and we're all going to die. So I'm not living for today. I'm not even living necessarily for this life. I'm living for what is beyond this. And whatever people believe, they believe. But I honestly believe that when I take my final breath, I am going to be judged, and I am going to be an integral part of whatever comes after this life.
Amen and amen. We're talking with Matthew Ace Hagerty. You can go to superherobydesign.com, superherobydesign.com. Hey, that wraps up the show. I want to thank Ace for being a part of the show. And thank you for just pouring inspiration, wisdom, clarity, so much to be able to build a life of wealth, not just with real estate, but also with health, with happiness, with so much more, making a difference. I want to encourage you, Ace, to keep using your gift of loving people, giving first, going out of the way to help other people. And for our listeners who want to get in touch with you, would you remind them one last time, what's the best place for them to find you?
Yeah, just go on website, superherobydesign.com. You can also go on Instagram, Facebook, Ace Hagerty. Find me anywhere.
Amazing. Thank you, Ace. And also thank our listeners for listening to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast. As always, we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gain tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy. And using a proven strategy such as the deferred sales trust or connecting with someone like Ace is an amazing way for you to create and preserve more wealth. As well, check out the new book, Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. We just came out with that book. Kevin Hagerty from Shark Tank's in the book. Really cool. And some other really smart people. I got a couple chapters too. Hit #1 bestseller on Amazon. Check that out. If you're on Expert CRE Secrets, listen to us. I hope you got a lot of value on an expert in real estate to how to build wealth. And so we appreciate everyone watching there. Please rate, review, subscribe. Share this with someone that can be an inspiration and a help to today. And more than anything, go take some massive action towards your goals right now. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Talk